Hello everyone. Today I thought I would do a video on taking screenshots for a workshop post. As I'm coming to the point where I need to take a photo shoot of this new MX10 ship and I want to get it out to the workshop, I first thought I would start by maybe making a video on kind of what I'm doing when I take screenshots. And I'm going to leave some links in the description on where you can find these screenshots on your hard drive and where you can find your blueprint pictures or your blueprints to change as well. But to start with, basically I spawned in this ship and I'm looking for like good scenes, like something that where the ship is visible. And I want to get like a barrage of different screenshots. I don't know if I'm going to use them all, but I like to take more than I typically use just to see which ones look the best in the end. Now, a couple rules on this to start with. As you can see, I'm moving a block around and I've got the HUD up. So to start with, what I normally always do when taking screenshots is I hit 0 on the keyboard. That just or you can go to your toolbar and go to just your hand. So then you don't have any blocks or anything that you're potentially showing on the screen. Next, if you hit F6 twice, now the first time will remove part of the HUD, like the names of the items. If you hit it a second time, it will remove the whole HUD. If you hit it one more time, it'll bring it all back. So I usually hit that twice. So 0, F6, F6, clears out everything on your screen. So now the next thing I normally do is try to find a scene, like right now I got this kind of placed in front of a mountain. I'm just in a creative game right now. Sometimes I do go to survival for different environments to take pictures. It is a little bit more work to do that though. So like right now, I kind of think this shot looks pretty decent. And there's a couple aspects when I take screenshots that I'm looking at. Now, I know the video doesn't show this, but I'm actually using a 21:9 ultra-wide monitor at 3440, I believe, resolution by 1440. So when I take a screenshot, the screenshots are really big, and I actually can't use the stock screenshots for a post. I have to modify them. And I usually bring that into, well, I have Adobe Photoshop, but I'm not sure what everyone has for video software, or I'm sorry, photo editing software. There's a lot of options out there, some free ones. So to start with, to take a screenshot, the key to do that is the F12 key. So right now I'll hit F12 and bam, I took a screenshot. And this gets saved on a particular folder on your hard drive, which is kind of hard to find. That's why I'm going to leave a link in the description on this video for that. But with this screenshot, I haven't really done anything with it. I just got the ship flying here, and now I want to come up with or investigate different looks that I could possibly do with the same scene. Now, one aspect, if you notice, right now I have the ship centered. If I turn my screen this way, and I apologize, I don't know if it's cutting off the back of the ship in the actual video due to the widescreen format I have, but in my screen I do see the entire ship. Now, if it's on this side, it changes the aspect of it a little bit. For instance, if you look at how the model's being drawn right now versus the center, it's a little bit different. Or if I turn it to this side, it's different again. And since I'm only going to use part of most of these screenshots, I have the option to pick what scene I like the best. Now normally I keep most things centered, but you don't have to. I mean, you can create a different view of your creation by kind of playing with this and just capturing and then just taking part of the full screenshot and use that as a blueprint screenshot or the post screenshots. Now another thing that I do a lot is I mess with time of day and weather. Creates a different look. For instance, I'm going to go into the console by hitting the tilde key, and if you type in weather info, it will show you all the different weather environments available. So to change the weather, if I type in weather and then one of these, now it has to be case sensitive when you type these in. If I just type in, like, say, fog without a capital F, it will not work. So what I'm going to do on the first thing here is I'm going to use this newer one called pole fog, typed exactly how it's seen there. And when I do this, this one takes place right away. If you notice, it changed everything to fog now, pretty quickly. So now this already creates a little bit different look of the ship. Oh, and I also had my flashlight on. I do not like to take screenshots typically with a flashlight on unless somehow it can make a look that I'm trying to go for. Next thing I will mess with is time of day. Do that, I hit escape. This only works in creative mode, by the way. Escape, I hit this God mode up here, and then you have your global time. So I can make it dark, I can mess with it, you know, I can have it come, you know, where the sun's just coming up. So you get a little bit of a look on the back of the ship. And say I like the look of this, so and I like the position of the ship, say here. I'll hit F12 again, take another picture. Now another thing I like to do with all this, I'm going to get the HUD back on by hitting F6 again, is sometimes, you know, if I'm trying to show off a particular item, I might spawn it a second time. And maybe at the same direction and angle, maybe not. Or I might spawn in other things I've made in the past as kind of props, you know, to create a scene. Usually when I do this, I fill up the gas tanks on these things, and I'm going to tilt this one, say like this, and then I'm going to go up to this other ship, and I'm going to tilt this one as well, about the same angle. And then, well, I'm a little off. I try to make it look like they're following each other and going the same general direction. So I try to get the tilt right and maybe a little bit offset, but something like that. And then, I don't know if I can properly show this, but if you follow where my cursor is, I'm looking at a scene from about here, square over here. So clear the HUD again, and the other, if you notice, it's pretty much all white on most of the, or half the screen right now. And I don't really want to use that as part of the final screenshot, but I want the scene over here. So I'll take a picture of that, and then I'll probably cut out like a rectangle around this scene going around here. So it just captures these two ships kind of flying with the mountains in the background. So here, let's mess with the weather again. Let's now go to weather storm. Now, a lot of these weather effects take time to kick in. Like the pole fog is pretty much instant, but going to a storm, it doesn't happen right away. It's probably going to take a couple minutes actually before the weather changes. So I might as well take a look and see if I can find other screenshots that work. And of course, when I do a bunch of screenshots, I'm trying to show all the angles of the ship. Like this would be a decent, you know, scene of the bottom of the ship. So you can see that. So I'm going to take another picture. And while the weather's transitioning, I think I'm going to change the time of day again and try to get more of a darker look. How about something like that? And of course I want a top view as well. I'm kind of waiting for the weather to change again, but you know, if I don't use all these screenshots, that's totally fine. I probably will only use maybe a third of the ones I take. Um, kind of look at them, what they actually look like, brought into you know, what Photoshop or something like that. It's kind of neat creating scenes where you're kind of looking against the sunlight too. You can get a lot of different effects if you look around. Like I haven't moved these ships or set up a different scene at all yet, but I'm just kind of changing the time a little bit so maybe I can get the sun just kind of coming up and giving it just a little bit of a accent on the back ship there. And maybe I just want to take a picture of it this way now. So this is kind of a decent looking front view of the ship. Now do I want it the perspective like this, or do I want the perspective this other way, or just in the center? So in this case I'm probably just going to do a center one. And the lighting's a little bit different on this scene now, so I'm going to just for the heck of it take another picture. It's about the same view angle as I already took a different picture of, but the lighting environment's a little bit different again. Alright, so now that's about enough for that scene. So I'm going to take one of these ships and I'm going to go fly somewhere else. And you get different effects, like on this one here, what I'm going to do, or I'll turn the HUD back on, and I'm going to get close to leaving orbit, but not leaving orbit. And this creates a different lighting effect again. So I'm about 140 away from orbit. Now I'm going to hold down the O key to level the ship off. And now I kind of have a different scene. Now my biggest problem is the clipping distance on the terrain. If you can see what's happening when I'm looking around, it stops drawing the terrain and everything at a particular distance. That kind of messes with screenshots a lot. It's a performance thing, obviously, but I try to not show that, but it's really hard not to. It really is. Now, also another thing, I don't alter the screenshots that I take. When I take these screenshots, I don't alter them besides resize them or take a part of the whole screenshot. I don't like go into Photoshop and mess with colors or that stuff. On a couple occasions, if I'm taking a nighttime screenshot, I may boost the brightness up a little bit because they come out awfully dark, too dark probably for a good screenshot. But that's it. That's all I will ever do. Because I'm trying to show off what the game engine itself does. Now granted, you could Photoshop the heck out of any of these things and make them look any way you want, so you don't even know if you're looking at the game or not. I try to not do that. So I just took another shot of that angle, and obviously the weather kind of kicked in right now where we're getting rain. It took a little while for that to happen. Here, I'm going to reset the weather here again. So we're going to go back to weather clear. And I'm going to get back to the ground and I'll try to find a little bit different scene. Now you are limited in creative. There's not much planet types and things to go look at. But it typically is quicker to do it in creative. It's not a big deal in survival either. It's just you gotta, occasionally you might get shot at or something when you're trying to do these things. Okay, so thinking about another scene where it's landed next to water. So I'm gonna just set it down here. And awfully dark right now, so we're gonna adjust the lighting again. Get like a daytime. So kind of a peaceful, nice looking scene there. Sometimes I like to do extreme close-ups of particular features of a ship. Like I could take a shot of it like right here, where you're seeing the side, right up in your face, and whatever detail might be there, or something like that. But right now I'm trying to get a little bit of the view of the lake in here, and we're just going to take a nice friendly picture in clear day. Got to watch out for the bugs. Sometimes you get a bug that flies right in front of where you're taking a picture. Alright, so let's mess with the weather some more again. And I'm sure you've seen some screenshots of me doing this before, but what I'm going to do is run a radiation green fog. And I like this look because it looks eerie. And sometimes, you know, I'm trying to, especially for ships that are designed for like combat and things like that, I try to capture a look of them looking like they're in danger or in a hostile environment. Okay, so went to this fog radiation green, and as you notice, the environment is changing pretty rapidly right now. And definitely changes. I mean, this nice peaceful lake area now looks fairly hostile. And that's kind of what I wanted it to be. Of course, beyond just switching it to storm, I can also mess with the lighting some more. Now it looks pretty scary. Like if I went outside of my house and it looked like this, I'd be a little nervous. And then kind of looking around at different light environments, you know, with the sun over here, I got a bit of a look there that's different than back over here. So now this shot's a little bit dark, but I like a little bit dark shots occasionally because the texture lights pop out where you can kind of see them. It's kind of nice that way. So how about I take another shot here, and tell you what, I want to enhance this scene a little bit. So I'm going to spawn in some other creation. Not sure what yet. I'm just kind of look through the list of all the different things. I try to mix it up and not use the same stuff over and over again. But what could I put in here that would be interesting? Obviously, a space station probably isn't appropriate, but here, how about I pop in this waypoint farm? We'll just kind of set that maybe facing the ship here. Now, another thing when you place things too, the page up and page down key will raise or lower that when you're placing it. So you can kind of line up the item to the ground on uneven surfaces. And you usually want to sink it into the ground a little bit, and that's why I've been building the newer bases with like kind of like a legs, or they're actually built up a little bit, so you can push them into the ground some and not have so they're solid, but also not have terrain popping through the floor of your creation. So in this case, we'll stick that there, and let's spawn in another couple creations. How about we put in a ship that's very close to the MX10, MX9. Well, in size and price. I'm not saying looks. And say I try to get this so it's gonna be in view like it's flying somewhere. Now I'd like to do more enhanced stuff in video someday too, but I think to have motion and all that, I would need like more people around, like a stunt actor or something like that, to be flying ships around so I can take these kinds of screenshots. Now I'm starting to look at a scene, like what would be a neat picture here, you know? So you got this the MX9 kind of flying ahead. You know, but I take this ship off the ground again, and I want it in view, maybe leading the MX9 somewhere. And this is kind of a problem I have too. A lot of times the landing gear don't go up, even though it's just on the ground. I really wish it would have went up, because that kind of screws up a screenshot. I'm gonna land again real quick, and then take off again. Whoops. Here, I tell you what, on this scene, rather than them going against each other, I'm gonna make it look like they're gonna collide or they're doing fancy air tricks. A little Top Gun action here. So we got that ship kind of veering off that way, the ship like veering off this way, like they're being crazy pilots. And okay, so that scene's kind of looking sort of neat, but what else could I add to it? Well, maybe pop in some kind of HV in the mix. And it's pretty random on what I'm putting in here for these things. I haven't done much with the Gigantes much. So I'm going to pop one of these in here, and we're just going to have it like leave it parked next to this base, kind of facing the scene. And usually with HVs, because I usually try to land them. I don't know why. I guess sometimes I don't think they look all that wonderful if they're like floating in the air. Okay, so now I'm going to hit F6 a couple times to clear out the HUD. And one final adjust on lighting to see if what looks cool. How about this scene a little bit darker? And I'm going to back off the camera a little bit. And do I want it on this side, centered, or on this side? Well, it's probably just centered on this again. Now, it would be awesome if I could hit the screenshot key the exact moment lightning happens, but it's kind of hard to do without taking a whole lot of screenshots. I tend to miss them. All right, so how about another lighting change? What could we do this time? How about weather, fire rain? Again, most of these weather effects do take some time to kick in. Some of the new ones that they added kick in right away, though. But also, too, if you keep a close eye, there's a transition time between what I've got going on now and the next weather effect that I selected. So sometimes you get kind of an in-between look that can look really cool, like fire rain mixed a little bit with the green fog, which is a little unnatural, but it looks pretty decent. So while I'm waiting for that to happen, I'm just examining to see if there's any other scenes that I think look neat with how things are set up right now. Maybe from a different angle. That would have been nice if I would have hit F10, F12 right then. But I'm trying to keep a definite focus on the item I'm trying to put on the workshop. Maybe take a scene like that. I'll tell you what, okay, so we have enough pictures of that particular scene. So we'll go somewhere else and try to do something a little different again. Now, and I will say too, the survival environments I believe are quite a bit more pretty than the creative environments right now, as well. There's more there to look at. That's another thing too. I am on a temperate world in creative. A lot of times I will ditch out and go to the arid planet and take some pictures there as well. I'm kind of liking that look a little bit too. That's kind of neat, especially if I don't use the full scene and take like a smaller picture of the center of this screenshot. Has kind of a neat look to it. Now, a small creation like this doesn't take near as long to do as like a big CV, because I've got very little interior to show, and the ship's not very big, so I usually don't run near as many screenshots. All right, so now we got our fire rain kicking in finally, and take a picture of that. Let me mess with the time of day again. Another screenshot there. Well, let's take this thing up in the air again. Maybe get over some trees. And as you can tell, I'm a big-time first-person flyer. I mean, a lot of people like the third-person view. I don't particularly. I know it allows you to see a little bit better around the area, and you do have the Alt key control, and you can kind of mouse wheel out and take a look at your ship from different angles this way. But in game, I don't know what it is. I come from a background of playing games like Freelancer and things like that. In all these games, I've always preferred first person. Probably because I started a lot of my gameplay back in the day with like things like Unreal Tournament, and I got very used to first person gameplay, and now I absolutely prefer it. Okay, so now we got a scene with a bunch of trees and fire rain. Take a look at the time of day again, see what kind of effects we can get. How about a scene like that? Now, keep in mind, too, one of these screenshots, and I don't know which one yet, will end up being the blueprint picture. That is your most important picture, especially if you're trying to get noticed on the workshop. It is paramount to have a good-looking blueprint picture. You could have a awesome creation, and take like a picture that doesn't show it very well, or is very muted or dark or something like that, and it won't get noticed, and people won't like check on it. Maybe if they did, they would really like it and sub it and give it a nice rating and everything like that. But it is important to have that good, nice looking blueprint picture. I'm also thinking too, I haven't really done a top-down view of this ship yet, as I typically like the angles, some kind of angle better myself, but I think it would be helpful to get something like that in here. Now, in some creations, I really go off and spend a lot of time setting up a big scene. I think you might have seen that on some of my past things, like the Gigantes for one was one that I set up. Like I put about 15, 20 different creations in a group and ran around and took a bunch of different kinds of screenshots. One even from a cockpit of a different ship, trying to create like a scene, like it was some action sci-fi movie or something like that. But as in actual videos, I have not really gotten into that. I mean, other authors like Crazy Z and some others have really done some neat stuff with that. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to do that. And most of the time, I guess I just really haven't wanted to put that much effort into it yet. But that could change. All right, well, we have quite a few exterior screenshots of this ship now. Let me get just a couple more while this effect's going on. And I'm going to reset the weather again to clear. now what I want to do is take some pictures of the inside of the ship. So I'm going to just park it somewhere for now. So I also kind of wanted like a landing picture of it being here. Now problems with being in God mode is all these sensors just flip and act really, really weird. So I'm trying to get a picture with the door open, but it keeps opening and closing constantly. So, oh, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to hit the G key on the keyboard and get out of God mode. And it looks like I got launched in the air. So then, oh, come on. All right. So, I think I'll take a picture of just the back of the ship here with the door open. We'll take a walk inside. And I don't need many screenshots of the interior. It's a small interior. I just kind of want to cover it at a few different angles here. And let me just take a look at lighting again. Okay, so this is daytime currently. So yeah, we kind of want it visible. So let's say I take a picture here, and maybe another picture at the opposing angle. And actually, with a ship this small, probably 2 interior screenshots is enough. But I do like to mess with lighting. So let me go back to like a dark scene. Maybe get a 3rd screenshot of it illuminated at night from a slightly different angle, maybe, if I can find one. Granted, not much space in here to mess with. And do I want any kind of close-up? I'll just take one more for the heck of it and then review which ones I think look the best. Now, right now, I don't know what screenshot of all those that were taken that I want to use for the blueprint screenshot itself. That's going to require just taking a look at what was already taken. And probably another phase to this too is I'll probably take just a few more screenshots in an arid planet with a little bit different scenery to get a variety. And also too on blueprint pictures. Now, granted, I do like a blueprint graphics now. I didn't used to, but I've seen a lot of authors try to keep like all their blueprints very consistent on their pictures. I don't really like to do that. I like to do them all a little different. Different colors, different environments. I don't know, for some reason I just feel compelled to mix them up. Otherwise it starts to look a little too, I don't know. I mean, it's neat having them all consistent like that, but I just like the artistic variety of a lot of different kinds of screenshots and different color environments and things like that over consistency. Now another trick too is to take far away shots of a item, but you got to watch it because there's a clipping and some of the more detailed parts like doors and windows will disappear at a particular range. It's usually not a big problem with SVs, but it is with CVs and bases. Like for instance, I could take a shot out here, and I tell you what, I got an idea for a scene. I'm going to spawn one more of these ships in a minute. I think, yeah, no, not you. I got to get rid of so many of these older blueprints. Yeah, I had an MX10. Believe it or not, the MX18 was my first attempt at making an MX10. I failed because it was way too big and expensive. So what I'm going to do here is we'll put this ship here, and I'm going to try to make it look like it's lifting off. So a little bit off the ground, maybe a little bit of a upward tilt, a little offset. And then I'm going to have a ground view like over here, where both of them are kind of in view, so you're kind of seeing it at a couple different perspectives. I'll take one there, and let's get a far out shot. Now a far out shot, basically on the actual screenshot, I will zoom in on just the areas where the ships are, and maybe a little bit of the area around it. Man, I like this opposing sunlight view here. That's kind of neat. So we'll take one like here, and I'm going to keep them off to the one side of the screen, I think, too. Take a shot there. And last but not least, I think it's kind of fun sometimes to, well, here, you know, it's quicker to actually if I hit the right keys. I screwed up there. So I'm gonna fly out into space, and to move really, really fast in creative, if you hold down both shift and control at the same time, and then your arrow keys, it kicks you into really high speed mode, so you can get around quickly. So I've noticed in creative now, at least with the newer patches, there's this really dense asteroid belt around the planet, super dense. But it creates some neat looking background scenes like what I'm seeing right now. So what I'm thinking would be neat is to spawn the ship out here again, and try to get a space look of it, like it's flying through asteroids, and try to capture that look I'm seeing to the right side of where the ship is right now. So let's turn it like that and just take a look at our scene. And F6 a couple times again. That kind of looks kind of neat. Take a picture. How the front view shot look at this angle? Now when you're in space as well, and in God mode, you can't like change your angle. So a lot of times too, although it's much slower, I will get out of God mode and hit J to turn on the jetpack, so I can now swivel my view like I'm doing here and get like a scene that matches. But a lot of it's just looking around and trying to find something by what you think looks cool to your eye. I mean, yeah, but a shot there too. Well, anyway, all these screenshots are actually going to, well, not all of them, but many of these will be used in the actual post for this ship, which I'm working on today. So I've just figured, rather than you know, kind of show how I do these things and whatnot, and I've seen other authors do this too, and it's cool. It makes it more to look at, you know, when you're looking at a post. If you can create some really cool looking sci-fi scenes, because I'm a nut for like sci-fi art and stuff. I like to just see people's cool ships or sci-fi stuff in a scene. You know, makes a really neat picture, and you can do a lot of that with this game. It depends how much time and effort you want to put into it, of course, but there's a lot that can be done. All right, one more shot there. But that's pretty much it for this video. I wanted to show you actually more with the work with Photoshop and things like that, but I'm having trouble capturing the scenes while doing these videos right now. It's not working well. I sort of got Photoshop to capture, but due to the widescreen monitor I've got, it's just getting like part of the screen, and it's not working well. So until I figure that out, I don't really want to even attempt it, because I don't think it's necessarily a very good idea. It would be confusing for me too. I'm not very experienced in doing videos at this time. Not like some. All right, well, hope you all enjoyed this. Maybe a little bit of insight onto taking screenshots and whatnot. And I'll be back Monday, I believe, with something new. something new to show you, and a potential project I wanted to work on that I was thinking about for a little while, something a little bit different. I'm getting really tired of building stripped down, non-exotic ships. I kind of, I like with this latest starter CV, the Wayfarer, very basic ship. Uh, I believe it should be very useful, but I want to get more into the artsy side of things and go with something kind of exotic or complex on how I'm designing it. Um, so that's probably going to be the next tutorial part of things. All right, well, y'all have a good day. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you later.